Welcome everyone. Let's get started. So happy you made it today to the Fire Your Boss webinar. I am so excited for you because I truly understand what you're feeling right now. And I was once in your shoes where I needed to make a change in my life in order to be happy. So again, welcome to Fire Your Boss and get paid to do what you love. Or what brings you joy, what makes you happy. So like you, I would wonder, I could be my own boss. What if I was my own boss? I would visualize what my life might look like. I would do what was important to me. I would do what brings me joy, love, happiness. And I remember having a hard time even giving myself a title like doctor, lawyer, rock star, because I knew those titles came with a lot of time commitment. And I really thought to myself, I want to do whatever I want to do the moment I want to do it. And so I set out to create a company that would give me the flexibility of time in an industry that I loved, and so can you. And that's exactly what I want to share with you today. So let's get started. So we're going to learn the 5 steps to getting paid to do what you love. And I want you to know that you're in the right place right now. If you want to start your own business, but you don't know where or how to start, you're already doing what you love for free and you want to figure out how to get paid, or you're not sure how to turn your hobby into a business, or maybe you're just unhappy with your current job and you want to transition your career. Maybe you want a career where you can just be more creative. And my favorite, you want a more flexible schedule and more time to enjoy your family. I mean, I pretty much wanted all of those things about 20 years ago. So today's agenda, we'll be learning the 5 steps to doing what you love and creating your longevity, or what I call loving your life or love life. And so first we'll go over how to turn your passion into a paycheck and discover what your passion is, how to identify your talents and value, how to identify and develop an audience, and how to create valuable content for your target audience. And then last, we're going to learn how to strategize your content to convert that audience into fans, members, and customers. So I also want you to know that at the end of today, I have 2 free gifts for you. So make sure you stick around to the end, and I really want to share my secrets of how I got to where I am today, which is living my Lovegevity. So let's talk a little bit about that. Who am I? A little bit of background information about me. I started my company back in 1997, and I was probably very similar to a lot of people, where I was tired of the rat race. Day after day, I felt there had to be a better way to live and enjoy life than be caught up in this corporate chaos I was living at the time. You know, I was inspired to create a company where priorities such as my family would come first, and I sort of had this philosophy that we should all just work around our life and not live our life around work. So I chose to focus my attention on, the things that would make me happy. And I kind of looked at the wedding industry at the time because I thought it was beautiful. I loved all the flowers. I loved the fashion. I loved what it represented: celebration, love, and happiness. And so I sort of looked at that space to see where could I bring value. And, back then it was just before people discovered the internet. And so I discovered the internet, 96, 97, I discovered the internet, and I created a website. And at the time I was providing information on things that I really enjoyed. Things that really I was interested in. So I provided information on relationships, relationship education, weddings, pretty much girly stuff, but that was what I loved, And at the time, I was helping marriage-bound couples through articles about relationship education and wedding planning on the internet. And through that process, I started hiring wedding planners to work for me because I kept getting all these requests from brides through my articles and all my information requesting for help. And so I thought, I need to hire some wedding planners. So I started training them. And what happened next wasn't anything that I planned for. The people that I was training, they would do so well after I trained them that they would go off on their own and, start their own business. And I would end up having to rehire and retrain for that particular market. And each day I would go to my real job and I'd come back and check with my staff. And they would tell me that the people that were calling were because they just wanted my training. And I just thought that was silly. I was like, we're hiring them. I mean, it's not the other way around. We pay them, they don't pay us. And I wasn't really listening to the people around me. And I went back to work and just sort of forgot about it and ignored them for a little while. And one day I came in and I agreed that since so many people were training with me, but then they would leave, I thought, okay, well, let's at least break even and let's have them cover the cost of the materials. At the time, I think we were printing a whole bunch of paper and we would give them a binder and even a CD at the time. And so I thought, well, let's just charge them $65 so when they leave, I at least don't feel like they're ripping me off. And what happened at that point really changed my mindset because within a couple of days I'd come in, I think it was a Thursday, and there were like 6 checks on the desk for $65. And it really made me pause for a minute because I was like, wow, people really would pay for the information that I was giving them. And I've just found that to be like mind-blowing at the time because of course I was doing it for free. I didn't really think that what I had to say had any value to other people, that they would actually pay me for it. I had a whole different plan for the business that I wanted to create. And so I just started to go with it. I started to say, that's pretty interesting. I had an open mind at that point. So then the very next day, I kept my day job. So I went to do my rounds. I was a pharmaceutical rep and I went to see all my docs. And I came in at the end of the day on a Friday, and my staff, I came in, they held up a check for $895. And I basically freaked out. And I was like, what have you done? And they explained that this was my first official student. And my very next words were, does she even know? And they said, of course, after they laughed, they said, yes, of course she knows. And so my next question was, well, when does she start? They said she starts on Monday. And so, of course, this was Friday. And so what do you think I was doing on Saturday and Sunday? So Saturday and Sunday, I was writing chapter 1. And so when she started chapter 1 on Monday, I was writing chapter 2. And I pretty much stayed ahead of her for 23 chapters. And that's sort of how, I got into where we are now. And so fast forward, that training material was then published into a textbook. And I did that for a variety of reasons because a lot of people were ripping off my information. I thought, well, let's protect it. Let's publish it. And after I published it, the colleges got interested in what we were doing. And they reviewed our curriculum and they ended up taking on our curriculum. And it's been accepted by over 2,200 accredited colleges around the world. And what's really interesting about this story and what we're going to talk about today is, I had all these skill sets in business and marketing and sales and consulting in other industries, in corporate industries. And I looked at the wedding industry and said, how do I become a part of that industry? And I started doing something I thought that would work, that didn't work at all. And I started to sort of go with where I brought the most value, where people were willing to pay me for what I was doing. And what was interesting, I didn't really even know it at the time. I didn't know what I was doing, but I just sort of went with it. And fast forward to today, after we've been able to distribute our program, I then went back and I help others to do the same thing. I help others in the industry. I've co-authored many textbooks with other industry leaders in the event industry. And, Lovegevity's become this course developer, curriculum distributor, and we help others do the same thing that I was able to figure out how to do. And so that's sort of where we are today. And fast forward, I am from Northern California. I have my work family. I have my family. I have my fur family. If anybody knows me, I love my dogs, my French bulldogs. And where we are today as a company is we're really listening to our customers, our students, our graduates, our alumni, and finding what they need. And we develop new programs for them. And we help them to excel in their own quest for starting their business and being event planners. And so we have a lot of internships. We worked on Coachella, New York Fashion Week, and we were able to send our students, to these events to get more hands-on experience. And through my journey, I've come to believe, our work life should be driven by our internal motivation to create our life's work. I believe we should follow our passion because that's where we discover our purpose and we develop that talent that we share with the world. And I have this short little clip I wanted to play. It sort of gives you a sort of an overview of Lovegevity and all the things that we do. And let me just play it, see if it works here. Give me 1 second. Share the Lovegevity. So that's just sort of an overview of all the things that we've been able to accomplish over the years. I'm really proud when I look back over those 20 years. And, I'm really excited for the future because we continue to grow and we continue to change and evolve based on what our students want. And so when I created Lovegevity, I needed it to have a meaning. I needed to have a purpose, and so Lovegevity, to me has meaning. It means to love your life. It means loving your life or love life. It means to, pursue your passion. It's a powerful or compelling emotion or feeling that you have to journey towards meaningful work. And it's something that gives you purpose. It's your passion. And it's a commitment that you have to be true to yourself and create a life that you love to live every day, which for many people, of course, is like living the dream. It's bliss. And so I think, that we should all have Lovegevity. And that's what I hope we start with you today. So let's get started on those 5 steps. When I think about starting anything, I believe you should focus on being truthful with yourself. I wanted to be truthful. I knew what I was willing and not willing to do. I have learned to pay attention to my own actions because when you set goals and you want them to be obtainable, you need to really know what you're willing and not willing to do. And you don't want to set yourself up for failure because you set unrealistic milestones on your journey to doing what you love. So the first thing you really need to do is be true to yourself. Get real with yourself. As I say, actions speak louder than words. So even if you say it, but you're not actually taking action to do it, then technically you don't really mean it. So when you think about getting started, you really want to be true to yourself. Don't just say stuff just to say it. Really think about what you want to do. And what I like to tell people is, think about the future. Think about the future when you've already achieved your goals and you turn around and you look at your life and your accomplishment and you say, I've done it. I've done it. I'm living my dream. And when you do that in your mind's eye, what does that look like? How will you spend your time each day? What is the mission that you're after, that your business or your purpose is? What does your brand represent? And most importantly, are you living your dream? Are you living a life that you love? As Stephen Covey says, begin with the end because you want to know where you're going to end up before you even create the roadmap to get there. So your first step is to list out, what are you passionate about? What are the things that you're good at? What are the things that you like to do? What do you love to do? What do you know that you do well? What skills and talents do you have? And what comes easy for you? And just like me, what do people say that you're good at? Are there people telling you that you should be doing something and you were like me, like, no, I can't do that? Are you sort of devaluing yourself and not seeing what other people see? Take a look at that. And are you helping people? Like I was training people for free, helping them launch their business, not really knowing that that was my value and that was my purpose and that was my passion. What are you doing for free because you love to do it? Maybe that's where you need to look at to start if you don't already know. And if you have time, what topics do you fill your time with? For me, I was filling my time with relationship education information and wedding information. I loved it so much. I couldn't get enough of it, and maybe you're like me, the wedding industry attracts a lot of people because it's very creative and it encompasses 20 plus industries. Where do you fit in there? And so you really need to figure out what you love. Do what you love what you do. You hear it everywhere and all the time these days, right? But what does it really mean? So the truth is, it used to be really difficult for people to get paid to do what they love. But all that has changed now. Today it's changed with technology, and the internet has paved the way for new opportunities. There's new platforms to help you reach a larger number of people that you can help and service. And it just wasn't like this. Business was not like this 25 years ago. It was really quite different. And so you're very fortunate. So let's get back to finding what you love. Now, here's an example I like to use. I love my dogs. I love my French Bulldogs. If anybody knows me, they know that I love my French Bulldogs. But you're probably thinking, no one is probably paying me to play with my dogs. And while that may be true, I have been able to bring value through social media because of my dogs. So for starters, they're very entertaining. I post fun videos about them on my social media stories all the time. And honestly, I actually think I started to get more followers when I started posting pictures of my dogs. I'm not going to get a complex or anything that I'm not an interesting person, but honestly, I started getting a lot more followers on Instagram. A lot more people were interested in what I was posting. And when I see people in real life, they ask me about my dogs. Literally, I was at the airport and this guy was staring at me and I had no idea who he was. And he was like, "How are your dogs?" And I'm like, "Do I know you?" And he's like, "I follow you on Instagram." So it's my dogs that are entertaining people. I try to bring other value, but this is what my new passion, right? So lately, I recently had an experience where my dogs got together without me knowing, and within 10 days of me finding out my dog was pregnant, she had a litter. And in that litter, we had this one little puppy. It was only a litter of 2, but her name is Phoebe. I have a picture of her here. And she's a cleft palate pup. And I was just appalled when I found out that most of these puppies are euthanized. They kill them at birth because there's so much time, money, and effort that you have to invest in them to keep them alive for the first few months before they can have a surgery, that most people just don't put that time in. And so they sort of just discard them. And I was like, that's not going to happen. I can't do that to her. And so I, set out to do a lot of research and figure it out. And while I found very little information out there, I did find some. And I was able to figure some things out. And when I figured some things out, I thought I would share that information. So I made a YouTube video. And one of the hardest things about these pups is you have to tube feed them when they're first born. And then you have to transition them to like a kibble. And some of the dogs don't take well to that. And so I figured out how to use gelatin so that I can put all kinds of food in the gelatin and it's firm enough where it's not liquid. She's not going to aspirate it into her lungs because of the hole in the top of her mouth. And she can suck it right down like a Jell-O shot. And so I shared this video on YouTube. And then I took it a step further and I found a Facebook group of people who also have other cleft palates, puppies, And I shared it, and I got a huge reaction from those people. I had a lot of people calling me a genius, a lot of people thanking me for the information, a lot of people sharing the information and letting me know how it was going with their pups. And so I found, a place where I could bring value to my passion for my dogs and share it with other people. And then I took it a step further. I had taken some photos of Phoebe, and one of my friends was like, that's a really great photo. People would buy that photo. And I thought that, again, I was like, thought that was ridiculous. But I took their advice and I went ahead and I submitted their photo to a stock photo site called Shutterstock, and they accepted it. And now Phoebe is, she's a little model. And I'm starting to monetize my passion for my French bulldogs. And so while I don't plan to make a business out of my dogs, I just wanted to show you an example of how easy it is to find your passion and really start to follow this process we're about to go through, where you can actually start to earn some money slowly but surely over time in an area that you have a passion for. So let's move forward. So do what you love what you do. What does it really mean? I found my passion when I was working with my students. When I started out, I couldn't really figure out what my passion was. I knew I enjoyed what I was doing, but I could never put a name or a finger on exactly what it was that I was doing that I was passionate about. I mean, this was already after I had started Lovegevity, and we have students and we're doing all these things. But there was this one day that I was speaking to a new student, and she was telling me all about her life and her struggles and how she was recently divorced, and she had put off her dreams for years to be a mom and a wife. And now that her kids were grown and her husband was gone, she was finally going to focus on herself and take the next step to pursue a dream that she's always had. And I was brought to tears because it was right in that moment when she made the decision to take that first step with me. We both started crying because it was going to change her life. And she'd put it off for so long. And it was in that moment that I realized that was my passion. I have a passion for empowering others like me to go after a life that we love, to let others know that they should stop wasting time and get started living a better life. And so for me, I really love making a difference in other people's lives and helping them to take that first step. It just, every single time, it's sort of like, I'm not a wedding planner, but I'm in the wedding industry. And so when I get an entrepreneur who's going to take that first step, it's sort of like, she's my bride and I want to cry for her. So let's move forward on how do you find your passion if you don't already know. For me, I didn't really know. I sort of kind of just followed what people were saying and sort of went with it. And it was years before I really could put a name to what I really love doing about Lovegevity. So how do you find that passion? There are tools out there. See, there's all kinds of things on the internet these days. Lucky you that you have all of these resources. There should be no reason you don't get started. So the first one I'd like to talk about is the high five test. You have unique traits and abilities that make you different than anyone else. And you need to identify what your strengths are and use them to your advantage so that you can be successful. And high five test helps you to discover your unique talents. So take a look at it. I think it's highfivetest.com. I think it's free. Check it out. Another one is the 16 personality test. It sort of helps you align the type of personality that you have with the right career or the right industries that would fit your personality. So check that one out as well. Another one that's very similar to that is the Myers-Briggs. It's been around for a long time. A lot of you may have heard it, but it really helps you to align your personality again with the right career path or career goals. And the last one that I think is pretty great is Strengths Finder. And it is, I think there's a book out on it too, but go to the website. They have an assessment. It helps you to discover really where your strengths are and helps you sort of figure out what's going to motivate you to pursue your passion and in what area that is. So check those out. So the next step, after you figure out where your passion is, you need to look at that list and you now need to ask yourself, where do you bring the most value? What it means is, where can you bring the most value to the list of topics you discovered in your Action 1 step? Remember, for me, I looked at the wedding industry and I applied my knowledge of business, marketing, sales, and startups to the industry of my choice. I had success in those areas, but in other industries that didn't bring me joy. So I took my strengths and I applied them to the industry I had a passion for and wanted to be a part of. And that's what you need to do. You need to look at where your strengths are and where you have a passion and where you can bring the most value. And the reason why you want to do that is because that is the secret to success, ladies and gentlemen. Where passion brings value is the secret to every successful business. I mean, to be successful, let's think about it. You have to do work that you love in order to be excellent at it, because you have to do it for a long period of time. I mean, people can do excellent work in areas that they're not passionate about, but over a long period of time, over time, they'll burn out because they don't really love what they're doing. You know, they get tired of the grind. Many people quit. But if you're passionate about your work, it doesn't feel like work. So you can work harder at it over a longer period of time. And that's really the secret to success. Success is excellent work over a long period of time. So there are many examples here on my slide of long-standing successful businesses that had a passion for what they do. And over time, the money will come, but it does take time, and you need to know that when you get started, and don't be discouraged by it. Take those small steps. You need to be consistent, and you need to believe in yourself that it will happen, and only you can make it happen. No one can do the work for you or create your life's work. You must take action for it to happen and understand that it will take time. So now you know. You have to do work that you love in order to be excellent at it, because in order to be successful, you need to keep it up over a long period of time. And the same was true for these companies. I mean, Mrs. Fields, she had a passion for cookies, right? They've been around. Their cookies are delicious. Starbucks, right? They have a passion for coffee and creating that environment we all love. iPhone or Apple, Rolex, Martha Stewart. I mean, she's amazing, right? But she had a passion for all the things that she did, and she's been around for a long time, and that's what makes them successful. You need to be consistently excellent at what you love. So step 3, now that you know where your passion lies and you've identified where you can bring the most value, now you need to identify who can you bring that value to. You need to discover, who is this audience? Who are these people that will find your information valuable? And then you need to sort of look at them and what are their biggest hopes and dreams related to your particular industry? What do they have a passion for or a need for? What are their problems and frustrations that you can solve for them? And this is where you can bring value, because people will pay you for what they can't do themselves, either due to lack of skills, lack of time, or lack of desire. They just don't want to do it. You can provide that value to those people. And no one is you, right? No one is you, and that's your superpower. No one has your experience. No one has walked your journey. No one has your insight or your unique way of bringing the value that you possess to this group of people. So how do you find these people, right? Okay, great, Joe. I can bring value to these people. Where are these people, right? So we all know what happens when you chase people, right? We can't chase people down and say, hey, I can help you. I have value, right? And we all learned in kindergarten, when we chase the boys, they run away, right? So the same is true for your customers. You can't chase them, especially in today's cluttered marketplace full of distractions. You need to woo them. You need to put yourself in their shoes and really ask questions like, what's in it for me? Why do I even care what you have to say or what value that you bring? You can find and attract this target market. How can you do that? You have to ask yourself, who have you already helped? So for example, if you love interior design, say you've helped friends and family decorate or design their space. Or if you're a wedding planner, have you helped plan a friend or family's wedding or event? Which of those people that you've helped in the past represent your perfect customer? For example, I have one of my students right now. Her name is L'Oreal, and she has a sister named Maya who's an artist. And L'Oreal wants to sort of niche her business to help creative entrepreneurs like her sister, Maya, launch their brand. And so everything she is learning about her sister's hopes, dreams, frustrations, problems, and the solutions that she provides to Maya all become information for the thousands of other Mayas that also need help launching their creative business and brand. Let me explain that. When I was first starting out, I would interview each of our students or customers, and I would hear similar comments from them over and over. I'd hear things such as, I want to start my own business and be my own boss. I kept hearing that. Then I would hear, I'm already helping family and friends as a hobby for fun. How do I turn that into a career? Or I need help in my business. I'm already in business. I need to take it to the next level. Or I would hear, I'm a parent and I need a flexible schedule. And a lot of times that's, I'm getting married and I want a career that can be flexible. Or I'd hear, I'm college bound and I just don't want the traditional 4-year degree. I want a career that I love and I want to jump in and get started right away. And then I would also hear things like, I have an idea for a workshop or a program and I just don't know where to start. And I knew that I could help them. And I also heard, I already have a course or I already have information and I just don't know how to get the right distribution. And so these were the things that I kept hearing over and over again. And it helped me to really identify who my perfect customer was. And I really narrowed it down to identify who our ideal customers were and how we could bring the most value to them. I looked at who they were, what their struggles were, what their frustrations were, and how can I help them not only relieve those frustrations and provide solutions, but also help them grow in their goals and dreams. And that's sort of how we molded our company over the last 20 years. You ask a lot of people and they say, how do you find the perfect customers? And they're going to tell you, oh, you should do a survey. But let's get real. I mean, how many times have you stopped to fill out a survey for some company? Even when you like the company, right? How many times have you stopped what you're doing to take time out of your day to let them know what you really think or how they're doing? I mean, very few people fill out surveys and it rarely gets you the information that you need. So it's not something that I recommend. I just think there are better ways. For example, let's talk about Facebook groups. I mean, there are groups for just about everything and every industry. By finding a group that falls into your area of passion and value, you can listen and observe your target profiles. You can see what frustrations, hopes, and dreams they have, and where you can bring value. You can see what they're talking about, how they're helping each other, and you can even engage by providing value to that group. Don't sell your services yet. You don't want to chase them away. Remember, it's a woo, not a sell. You want to build trust so they feel as if they know, like, and trust you as a valuable source of information. So another community to listen and learn what your target profiles are saying is Amazon. I mean, most people think of Amazon as an online store for everything, right? I mean, I love it for that reason, but it's also a community of buyers and sellers, and they are talking. For example, you should go and, take a look at your industry, pick any industry, and you will most likely find a book on Amazon in your industry, and you can go to the reviews for that book and read what people are saying about those books. Most people will explain in the reviews, I like the book because it helped me to whatever. It provided information on this that I needed to whatever they're going to accomplish. But those are the words of your customers. Those are the problems and the solutions they are looking for. And even the bad reviews are informative. What that book didn't cover, it might be an area that you can provide value. So with this information, you can learn more about your perfect target customer and start to create content that brings them value. Another place is Twitter. Twitter, it's basically a conversation, right? You can use hashtags, though, to pull up conversations of certain topics and tweets specific to your target profile or industry. Then you can join in that conversation by using that same hashtag. You can listen to what they're saying and do the same thing, really understand where their problems are, understand what solutions you might be able to provide to them. And you can even start creating a target list based on their Twitter handle of people looking for the value that you provide. So another place, here we are, we're back to Facebook, right? Facebook has another great place. Go to industry companies that have Facebook fan pages and read their reviews. What their customers are saying about what they liked and what they didn't like is really great insight into the same people that you can bring value to. What are they doing right? What are they doing wrong? Where are their weaknesses and strengths? And where can you plug in to bring value? So identify your perfect customer. You'll be able to develop what's called a persona or a target profile. And then you start to see similarities in those groups, and you can put them in the categories. And once you do that, you'll be able to really go deep and learn all about them. You'll learn where they live, work, and play, and what's their life like, what are their frustrations, what circles do they belong to, what online groups, and really understand how you can bring value because you listen to them. You listen to what their hopes and dreams are and how you can help them achieve those goals. So remember, so here's my example from my own customers, right? There were 7 areas that my customers told me why they decided to become my customer. And so over time, I had hundreds and thousands of customers kind of saying the same things. And based on their needs, I set out to find the solutions and continuously improve our services and programs to meet their needs. And I really have to say, over time, one of the secrets to Lovegevity's success is that we listen to our customers and we update our curriculum and our training every single year. Our textbook is republished every year because technology changes, the trends are changing, things are changing, and I want to make sure that our students have the most up-to-date information. And I have to tell you, there's no other, what I would say, competitor or no other program doing that. And it's really that simple. People will tell you what they need, and you need to be willing to listen and take action if you want to grow your customers and your business. And so here's what our students or potential customers were saying before they became a customer, and then here's what some of them say after we listen to them. So one of my examples is Leah. Leah is a great story. Actually, I just saw her last week at a conference with David Tutera, and she sat down and was telling me how she found Lovegevity. She was surfing on Facebook and she saw something about Lovegevity, and I was like obviously thrilled to hear that. And what was interesting to me is that was just 2 years ago, because I look at her today and she's come so far in such a short period of time. Not only has she taken several courses of ours and graduated, but she also is a speaker and she's an educator. And she's discovered that she has a passion for floral design. And so now she's hosting her own educational classes. Here, just this past weekend, she had a pop-up workshop. Here are her students with some of their creations in floral design, and she is loving her life. And while she hasn't quit her day job, she does plan to do it the end of this year. And so fire your boss, right? Leah is a perfect example of that situation where she is pursuing her passion. She gave herself enough time to invest in her education and then is really taking action every day to make things happen and make her Lovegevity come to life. Dartrice. Oh, Dartrice is really great. I love Dartrice. I did have a conversation with her as well recently, and I was thrilled to find that she did something I used to tell students all the time. You know, we have hundreds of resources in our library, and literally, if you're a wedding planner, and you had a bride like tomorrow, but you enrolled in our course today, we literally have templates of contracts and all the tools and information that you would need to sit down with a potential bride in your very first meeting. And Dartrice told me that that's how she got started. She was at her day job and she was helping one of her customers. It was a groom-to-be. And after helping him get fitted for a suit, he called her back and asked her to be his wedding planner because they were a little overwhelmed. And while she wasn't yet a wedding planner, she knew she had a passion for it. So she said yes. And then after she said yes, she sort of searched the internet to try and find some programs and information, and she found Lovegevity. And when I spoke to her, she literally told me as soon as she jumped into the resource library, she absolutely was able to use the contract, use all the information, and sit down with her bridal couple and be confident she had everything she needed to have that meeting and move forward. And I just was thrilled because that's what I know they need, and that's what we've provided over all this time. So Dartrice has a really great story. Another person is Morgan. Morgan was planning her own wedding, and she knew that she loved it when she was planning her own wedding, and she was like, how can I go to school for this? And so what's really great is, you know, she took that first step, and she's starting a new chapter in her life as a new wife. She's starting a new career in an industry that she loves. She's way ahead of the game. I mean, Rocky is great, right? She wanted to open her own business. She had a passion for the industry. She was already doing it for family and friends, right? Those are 3 of the things all in this that I knew that I was hearing from our customers, and Rocky had all three of those things. And she fell in love with our content, right? Quality content. And now she looks forward to helping other people achieve their dreams because she made her own dream come true. So now she's helping brides plan their dream event. So we really love that about Rocky. And Lydia, she also found Lovegevity, and it's changed her life, right? So this is my passion. I love what she said at the end. Lovegevity is where the love is. The best experience of my life and best decision I ever made. Life changing. I mean, it floors me, honestly. I cry sometimes when I read these. And Kristen, social proof. She saw all the reviews. She felt like this is probably a good place to go. So best decision that she made. Thank you, Kristen. And Hannah, every day she was like me. Every day she felt like something was missing and she wasn't doing what she really loved. And thank goodness she found Lovegevity, and she was able to pursue her dreams and work it into her life. And that's really what Lovegevity is about. So, I share that with you because the secret is to listen. Listen to your target profiles. Listen to what they're saying. Listen to their frustrations and bring that value. Where can you help them bring value? So the next step is to develop your audience through content, right? To create content that is going to bring value to that audience, to where you know you can bring value. You earn their attention by providing content on all sorts of things. And let's go through that. So today, more than any other time in history, it is so easy to get started. Similar to my Frenchie story, right? There are so many social media platforms out there that help you leverage groups of people that have really specified, what Facebook groups, all those different things that we talked about. You can find them. And so after you make a list of the areas that you're passionate about and where you bring the most value, then you start putting out content that's valuable to that target market, right? And how do you do that? You have all these social media channels. You can start by blogging. You can make a list of all the subjects and topics that bring value to that target market that you know that you can serve, and you can create a blog. Maybe you create a blog on a how-to, how to do something. After you create that blog, though, like me, you can create a YouTube video. You can also put that video on your blog, but now it's also on YouTube for people to find it. After you do your YouTube video, you can take that audio and you can do a podcast. iTunes is another platform where you'll be able to attract new customers that would never know about you until they searched out your topic in a podcast and they listened to it, like what they had to hear, and then they go over to your blog and maybe sign up for your newsletter. Another great tool to use is Canva. You don't have to be a graphic artist to create graphics with Canva. It's very similar and user-friendly to creating graphics in Photoshop. And you're going to need graphics because people are very visual. And once you create those graphics, you'll want to post them on your blog, right? If you're doing a how-to step-by-step, you might want to show images step-by-step of whatever it is that you're teaching them how to do it. And once you post them on your blog, you'll want to pin them on those images on Pinterest. You can even pin your video on Pinterest. And the reason you want to do that is because Pinterest is a search engine, and it's a very visual search engine. And people repin those images. And so if you create your images with Canva, you post them on your blog, you pin them on Pinterest, you're going to drive traffic from Pinterest to your website in whatever niche or industry that you're after. Another platform that a lot of people are not aware of is Twitch. Now, Twitch is started off as a video game community where people would pay to watch other people play video games. And while that's really great, and there's a lot of gamers out there that have found success in that, Twitch has also expanded that it's now open to artists and creatives who can live stream their talents to the world. People from around the world can watch you working and donate to your channel or subscribe and pay you a monthly due just to be a loyal fan of your work. So check out Twitch. It might be a good fit for you in whatever industry that you have a passion for. And if you haven't already discovered Instagram, then you need to run right out and set up your account right away, because Instagram is one of the fastest growing platforms and communities that are out there that help to convert fans into customers. And so Instagram is is a really great tool, and we'll get into that in our next section on content strategy. And of course, there's Facebook, right? Create a Facebook fan page. Just like we were looking at other companies that have Facebook fan pages, well, you need one too. And you can post information there. You can put your video there from your YouTube channel. You can post up your images that you created for Pinterest. You can start a conversation. You can use hashtags. There's a variety of things that you can do in Facebook, and you want to put your content there because, a gazillion people are on Facebook. So the next step in our process then is, now that you know the value that you bring, you know the passion that you have in the industry, and you've identified your target profiles of where you bring the most value and ways in which you can create content and put that content out there, now you need to convert those fans and members and customers, right? You want to convert that audience to people that follow you and eventually buy whatever it is that you're selling, right? So the next step is you need to implement a content strategy. So you have all of this information, but you have to be strategic about how you put that content out on all these different platforms. And so the first thing I like to go over when you're putting together a content strategy is a formula called the 333. What the 333 is, it basically means that you have 3 seconds to catch someone's attention. If you catch their attention in 3 seconds, whether that be with a really interesting message that really speaks to them, or a beautiful image that just takes their breath away, oh, I love that. That first 3 seconds really needs to capture your target profile's attention. And if you do that, you have earned 30 seconds more of their time. And so let's say we're on Instagram, right? I'm scrolling, stop. There's an image that stopped me in my tracks. I love it. Something about it is so beautiful. It caught my attention. Now I'm going to read the message below. That message below needs to be so compelling in that 30 seconds it takes to read, that I take to read it, that you've now earned 3 more minutes of my time. So I'm reading your message, and then it's like link in bio, right? Now I'm ready to click on your link, go to your blog or your website or wherever you're sending me to learn more about you, and converting that person to a fan, a follower, or a subscriber. So implement the 333 in all of your social media channels. Think about your target market. What's going to stop them in their tracks? Because if you can't get the first 3 seconds, you're never going to get the 30 and the 3. If you can't stop someone to pay attention to what you have to say, they're never going to read your message, and they're never going to click through to your website or your blog. So really think about that first 3 seconds. What stops you in your tracks? Maybe it's the same for your target market. So let's go over a sample content strategy. I have listed out 12 different things that you can do on all of these channels that we've just gone over. So here are some ideas. We're just going to go through them pretty quickly, but jot them down. You don't have to do them all, but it'll give you some ideas to get started. So the first thing that you can do on any of those channels is ask a thought-provoking, open-ended question. And some of the great places to do that would be on places like Facebook or even Instagram. And you can post a thought-provoking question and really start a conversation, sort of like I did in my Cleft Palate Pup group. I sort of was posting questions about what other people are doing and got them to notice my video. The next thing is, what are you really selling, right? We talked about not selling. We want to woo them. So don't talk about what your products are and your services are. Talk about what are you really selling. So for example, with Lovegevity, our products are courses and programs for entrepreneurs and event planners to help launch their business, right? But that's not really what I'm selling. That's just sort of a vehicle to give them what they really want. And what they really want is longevity. What they really want is to create a life they love to live. I'm selling love and happiness, right? So look at what you're selling and what value you bring and what solutions it provides, and figure out, if you're selling interior design, maybe it's happiness because people love the space that they're in. Play that up. Don't play up the actual products, but play up the end result, the solutions that you're providing to people. Next is really great a really great way to network with other people is to promote someone else's work. And you can do that a lot easily on Facebook and Instagram because you're tagging people. You can, promote someone else's work that inspires you, because most likely it's also going to inspire the people that follow you or that audience that you're starting to grow. And so promote someone else's work. They really do appreciate it. Social proof, right? Not only can you promote someone else's work, I mean, you can promote the success of the people that follow you. Like I was talking about Leah and her journey with Lovegevity and how successful she is and how happy she is to be doing what she loves. And that's sort of social proof. I'm showing you that there's people out there that have taken our programs and maybe they're just like you, but now they are happy and they're successful because of the decisions that they made to be a part of Lovegevity. So you can do that too with your company. Be authentic, be vulnerable, open up about something. There's a lot of people that don't know that there was a time in my life when I was shopping for a wheelchair. I had to use a cane. My spine was crushed and I was looking at not walking for the rest of my life. And it was a really depressing, dark time in my life, but it was one of the best things that ever happened to Lovegevity. And the reason why is because I had to change my mindset. At that time, I was teaching. I was flying around doing workshops and seminars. I was the only one teaching my training. And it was in this struggle that I had to really pivot my business and really rethink what we were going to do now. Now that I'm bedridden, now that I can't go anywhere, now that I can't walk, what am I going to do now? And why I say it was the best thing that ever happened, because it forced me to think outside the box. And now our courses are taught in hundreds of schools across the country. On any given night of the week, there's a class going on in some other state, in some other country, with some other person who's teaching our training program. And that's just mind-blowing to me. I mean, I never even thought about doing that on my own. It sort of was this incident that happened to me that made me change the trajectory of my business. And it actually provided me with what I really wanted, which was time and flexibility to be with my family, right? If I was out there teaching all those classes, I wouldn't have any time and I wouldn't be living my Lovegevity. So tell a story like that. Be authentic. Let people get to know a little bit more about you. It sort of makes you more approachable and more like them. Teach something new, right? We talked about that earlier on your blog or your YouTube channel. Teach something new. Bring, whether it's a recipe, bake a pie, how to do makeup, how to dress if you're, a fashionista, something about life coach, whatever it is that your industry is, teach people something new. Teach them something valuable that they're going to remember you and maybe want to learn more about you and sign up for your newsletter. Inspire, right? Everyone loves to be inspired. We love those quotes, those motivational quotes on Monday morning to help us get out of bed and get going, or meditate over something on a Sunday evening. So what inspires you probably inspires other people. So find, ways to inspire. Entertain, right? I talked about my puppies earlier and how fun, they are for other people to watch and see their photos and videos. Do something as well, mix it up in all of your content and all of your social media channels. Entertain them. Maybe you have a fun puppy or pet that you can use to entertain, or just do something comical. People really like to laugh, right? It's one of the best medicines that we have. Behind the scenes at work. So say you did a flat lay, say you're a photographer. That flat lay is beautiful, but maybe in your story you post the setup of that flat lay. Show the story behind the story that you're telling. People really love behind the scenes. It's educational just to see how it all comes together. And then tell a story. People love stories, right? I don't know how many stories I've told you today, but it sort of helps you walk through the journey and have a better understanding of who I am and who we are as a company and what our mission is. So tell a story about you and your journey. Behind the scenes at home. Show something about your home life. Show something interesting about where you live or the community that you're in. Or maybe there's something that's not part of your business, but maybe you do charitable work or maybe you volunteer. That's another aspect of your life that people really find interesting. So share stuff behind the scenes that you can that's at home. And ask for help. I really like this one. And the reason is because most people love to help. They really do. It's sort of in our nature, human nature, to help one another. And a lot of times, if you sort of say it's a time issue, it's a time crunch, it's an emergency, I need help, that's sometimes even better because drama gets people's attention, right? You sort of make a scene of it, and people sort of jump in to want to help you. I mean, when I think about my cleft palate group that I'm in right now, there's a lot of drama there. First time pup parents don't know what to do. They post up a photo of this beautiful pup they're trying to save. Some of them don't make it. It's pretty sad. But everybody stays tuned in because, it's emotional roller coaster is what it is. But people tune into that. So ask for help. So we went over the 5 steps today. We went over how you find your passion. Then you identify your talents and where you bring value. How to identify and develop your audience. And how to create valuable content for that target audience. And then what we just went over was how to strategize your content and convert your audience into fans, members, and customers. So before I jump to some of the other things I wanted to go over, I wanted to talk about time. Most people delay their future and they procrastinate, right? Some of those testimonials, they were procrastinating, they were fearful, afraid. Most people procrastinate getting started and doing something they would really love. Doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will, right? That's a quote by Susie Chasm. And you really do need to do it today. You need to start today because tomorrow never comes. And honestly, when I think about my own company, I just can't believe how much time has flown by since I started my company in 1997. My oldest son is now 25. And I remember dreaming about starting my business when he was just 3. And life happened anyway, right? Time marched on, no matter if there were good times or bad. And through it all, I sort of just never gave up on my dream to launch and grow a business that would give me the luxury of time. And I remember every day I would just do something. Sometimes it was little baby steps, and sometimes they were big steps. But I made sure that I did something every day to move my future closer to me. Life happens anyway. So how much is it costing you each day you delay the future you want? Every day you're not taking a step forward is actually a step backwards. Many people, like that one example of when I was crying with that student because she waited till her kids were grown and her husband divorced her to finally do something that she wanted to do. I mean, so many people wait their whole lives to get started doing what they love. And the number one regret, once they make that decision, is they wish they started it sooner. And time is precious. It's a precious resource. You can never get it back. People say time is money. You know what I say? We can all make more money, but you can't make more time, right? So time is more than money. So by wasting time, you are costing yourself so much more. So stop wasting time and get started living the life you want. So what does Mandela say? He says it always seems impossible until it's done, right? And what else do they say? They say what? That first step, that single step, first step in a journey of 1,000 steps, right? So let's talk about it. If you just took 30 minutes a day to do one thing to help you move your future closer to you, the life you want to live, your dream career, whatever it is, today you're taking action. We will give you credit for today, right? You're sitting in my webinar. We're almost done. Thank you for sticking it out. But by sitting in here and really empowering yourself with these ideas and being inspired to take action, this is a first step. This is a small step, but it's the first step, and you've done something today. Maybe after our call today, you'll reserve a URL, or you'll start writing a list of ideas for your blog, or you'll go take the high 5 test, to see where your passion is. Do something every day and think about your business. You can fit 30 minutes in a day. And sometimes it's just thinking about it and brainstorming, right? You could do that while you're on the bus or driving in the car or sitting at lunch. Don't tell your boss if you're thinking about it while you're working, but you can brainstorm ideas and really put time in every day consistently to bring your future dream career closer to you. And that's what I did. And so I want to ask you to do one more action item today. Just one more thing, and I want you to take the pledge. I want you to take the pledge because it's really important that you commit to yourself. And so the Lovegevity pledge is,
I pledge
I pledge
my commitment
to pursue my passion and promise to use
my talent,
creativity, and strength to find a purpose,
that fits my lifestyle,
my lifestyle,
and create
the life I love
to live every day.
every day.
every day. So if you want to take the pledge, you can go ahead and go to our website, lovegevity.com, take the pledge, or take-the-pledge, or you can also just go right back into your messenger and click on the menu where it says take the pledge. I hope you enjoyed hearing my story, and I hope it empowered you to get started getting paid to do what you love. And like me, if you see that wedding and event planning fits into your story, please click the link and register a seat in our next live webinar. That's where we'll address how to get started in the wedding and event industry with paid internships. Thanks again for coming, guys. I'll see you next time.